you're tired, you're over it, you've been looking and looking, you're not finding who you want to find, and you just really need somebody in that seat. So you take the best of a bad bunch and you tell yourself a story about how they're actually better than they are.
Well, that makes a massive impact on the good people when you've got rubbish ones.
I mean, it might sound too good to be true. People say, these people, where are they? They're not out there. I'm like, trust me, they're out there. There are awesome people out there.
They're looking for the mothership.
Yeah, they're trying to find their tribe, right?
It's a little awkward, this one. I don't want you to blush when I tell it, but it's actually about you.
Oh, no.
Having great people in your business makes a huge difference to how much you enjoy your business and how much money you make. But most business owners aren't experts at hiring, and they just tend to wing it, which results in disappointment and frustration. Tune into this week's podcast where we describe 5 huge hiring mistakes that you are most likely making at the moment. All right, everyone. It's Tony Fraser-Jones here, the host of the Profitable Tradie podcast. Welcome, and welcome to you, Philip Smith.
Yeah, thank you.
Is that your real name?
That is my real name, actually. Full name, Philip Smith.
Mr. Smith.
Yeah, Agent Smith, if you will.
Agent Smith.
Only without all the cool that I can do. Yeah.
I actually preferred Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson. Yeah, I didn't mind that either, actually. He was way cooler than Agent Smith.
He
but
was.
Then again, Agent Smith, like the actor himself, has been some badass characters. Like he's been Elrond, Lord of the Rings. How cool is that?
That is cool.
Yeah, and he was Flick in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. Who didn't love that? Was it Tick?
Well,
Tick.
I don't know.
Anyway,
what are we talking about today, buddy?
Mate, we are talking about hiring and hiring good people, which is something that actually we don't really get taught how to do, right? I mean, like you go through your apprenticeship, you learn how to be a great tradesman. You as a tradesman, you learn so much and you get better and better and better at your craft until one day you're a business owner and there's this whole world of business that you have to learn about. But recruiting and getting the right people on board is part of that. And unfortunately, no one really teaches you how to do it. Not like you learn it at school either, right? So, we often, do it pretty infrequently, and we forget the mistakes that we made, and we keep repeating those mistakes, right?
We do, and the thing about hiring and having a team is that there's an old saying, you can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. And what that basically means is if they're no good when you hire them, it's pretty difficult for them to be good when they're working in your business. And so 100%. The quality of the people that you hire is massive. And I think, a good person is worth at least 2 average performers. It just makes so much difference. And when, I'm sure if you're listening, and I know in our experience in business, when you hire a top-class person, you just know. And if you've never hired one before and then you hire one, you really notice.
Yeah. And you might not even know straight away, but you might have an inkling, and then it gets proved, and you just see the results, and they tend to compound as well, which is pretty bloody awesome.
And the thing is that most of your problems actually disappear when you have good people in your business. They do make a massive difference. People who can think for themselves, can take initiative, take responsibility, like to learn, and are just good human beings as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think great leaders really take the time to hire the best and to actively, build a culture that they can win in. It does take time and effort and energy, and it's something you need to do right and put some thought into. And you got to also actively get rid of those losers. If you do make a boo-boo and you hire the wrong person, it's important you get them back out again. So I think there's a lot of care and time and effort that needs to go into this in order to get it right.
Yeah, and it reminds me of a saying that a very intelligent man said, nothing ruins a good employee faster than watching you tolerate a bad one.
Yeah, I've never
Who
said
that.
I've never said that before myself.
Yeah. That went crazy on TikTok anyway.
You've obviously heard us say that a few times. So
it's true.
So it's true, right? It definitely rings true. So sure, you got a story to
I do have a story today. It's a little awkward, this one, and I don't want you to blush when I tell it, but it's actually about you.
Oh, no. Oh, here we go.
Yeah. True story. Phil is actually a person, and he's sitting here.
I'm here.
No AI bot.
Hi, everybody.
Although sometimes that would be good. But anyhow, so Phil joined our team maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, about, I don't know. I have to
it's
a
count,
while. I have to add it up now.
It feels like a lifetime.
It feels like forever.
Yeah, sing a song about that anyway. Forever. Phil is the first person that I hired. The team was pretty small, then maybe 5 or 6 people. It's like 25, 30 now, much bigger. But Phil was the first person that I hired who I paid a 6-figure salary to, so a decent salary. Back when 6 figures was a thing.
Yeah, that was a big deal
17 figures nowadays, but anyway. And here's the thing, there was a real thorough process we went through, and Phil found out about us, and we found out about him, and in the end it was like, yeah, let's do this. I can even remember negotiating the salary, and I was like, oh, he asked for more. Like, that's a good sign because the person values himself. But what I noticed is when you hire someone who is really talented and has a lot of ability, the difference that it makes is unbelievable. And that's what I noticed. Like, Phil could immediately come in. He's got big shoulders. He's played professional sport, professional football, rugby football, and he could lift a heavy load straight away. And you could just do things that I just didn't even realize other people could do. I thought I was the only one who could do them. And so when you hire a good person, and I'm sure in your business, if you're listening, when you've done that, you just notice that it's just different, and it makes a massive difference. And Phil started off as a salesperson in our business, and now is basically the boss of the business. Tells me what to do, which is awesome. So it's important that you get this hiring right. Yeah,
I'm significantly red now. After that, but
Phil loves a good public accolade.
Hates the public shout out. But obviously it does make a huge difference though, right? And I mean, funny enough, like we've done this, multiple times now, where we've hired great people, and just the difference between having the right person in the role, someone that's capable, comes with batteries included, and is just a winner, like a great culture fit. I mean, every time we've done it, it's driven the business forward massively. And so I think it's kind of the win that keeps on winning, right?
It is awesome. Because what happens is, and this happens when the hundreds and thousands of businesses that we've coached, you get one good person, and then you're more likely to hire more good people because like attracts like, and there's a whole flow-on effect, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, totally. So, look, obviously some mistakes that we can make when we're hiring. If we make them, we run into some problems, right?
We do. I think the first thing is you get really frustrated with the quality of the team that you actually get. And that leads to constant rework, mistakes, callbacks, a lot of frustration for you as an employer. It means you can't get away from your business, and you can't enjoy some freedom from your business, whether that's to do other things, to take a vacation or a holiday, or even to get away for an afternoon to watch your kids play some sport. It's really difficult. And this is the kicker. The good people, if you do have them in your business, they actually get frustrated and leave with the bad people if you bring bad people in. And we've just alluded to that before. That makes a massive impact on the good people when you've got rubbish ones.
Yeah, totally. It's really, really tough. When you're trying your hardest, you're working your butt off to do the right things the right way and, do your part for the business, and you see somebody else who's just not, it's pretty disheartening. So
and even more so if they see you as a leader tolerating it.
Yeah, even worse.
And that's a whole nother story which we've gone down before.
Dug into before.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, the other side of the coin is if we avoid these mistakes and we understand them and we can get around them, pretty big upside, right?
Well, you'll actually realise that there are great people out there, and you'll be, rather than frustrated with the quality of your team, you'll be like amazed. Yeah. You'll be astounded at what they can actually achieve. Yeah. And you'll notice that they start doing things better than you could, 100%. Which is... It's such a blessing when you're a business owner. So that's massive. You're not going to have the rework, the mistakes, the callbacks, and the all those foul ups that actually cost you a lot of money. Everyone makes a mistake, even the best person, but it'll be few and far between. It won't be a constant thing. And mistakes and rework cost a heck of a lot of money. Yeah. You'll be able to get away and have some freedom from your business. So you can rely on the people you've got to do the job, to get the projects done, to get the invoices out, to make sales, to get the marketing done as your business grows, and it gives you an unbelievable sense of freedom. It's amazing. And you'll attract more and more good people because the culture's strong, word gets around. Trust me on this one. You've got this hiring thing right when you get your team members, basically generating referrals to come and work with you. Yeah, that's massive. And look, you'll enjoy your business, and it will grow in a way that you just didn't believe was possible. Yeah. Because the thing about team is, as you get to a bigger business, maybe you've got a smaller business at the moment, but as it grows and it's got 10, 15, 20 employees, it's the team's job to grow the business and do the work, and it's your job to actually grow the team. And you'll be able to do that with the right people. Yeah, 100%. And it's funny, I think about that concept, like, bear with my science crap here, but it reminds me of the concept of a singularity, like in a black hole. There's a singularity, and it's like an event that we can't actually understand past that point because we can't perceive it, we can't see it.
And it's kind of like hiring an awesome person. Is like you think you know what's possible in your business until you get this person, but you actually can't even understand how good it will be until you get that person and you get that capacity and that capability and energy that they bring. And then you get them and you're like, how the hell did I do this before? which is cool. And I mean, it might sound too good to be true. People say, these people, where are they? They're not out there. I'm like, trust me, they're out there. There are awesome people out there that can add so much to your business.
And those awesome people are actually looking for the right business to work for. Like they're looking for the mothership.
Yeah, they're trying to find their tribe, right?
They are. Well, actually, most businesses in, the plumbing and electrical and similar construction type businesses, unfortunately, a lot of them aren't great employers because they really make these mistakes that we're going to talk about, and they don't get the best people and they don't build a great culture, and it's just not that much fun for people.
100%. So, I mean, if we get this right, huge upsides on the horizon for us. So, let's get into these mistakes.
Yeah. Well, this is the first one. Is mistake number one is hiring the best of a bad bunch. So it's you get a bunch of people apply and you just decide to hire one of them.
Yeah.
And what's important here is the best of the bad bunch doesn't mean they're good enough.
Yeah, 100%.
Instead, what you want to do is you want to have a clear standard that the person meets before hiring them. And it's like Olympic qualifying standard. The Olympics isn't just something you get to go to because you won the qualifying. You get to go to the Olympics because you hit the qualifying standard.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you could have the entire race and nobody goes to the Olympics. Doesn't matter who won. They still have to hit the qualifying standard. It's super important.
So they have to be good enough, not the best of a bad bunch.
And I just want to say, this is something that everybody's done, right? We've done it. And I think the thing is, every time you do it, you think, this will be, it'll be all good. It'll be all good. They're pretty good. They're good enough. But you're kind of telling yourself stories there just to get through a pain point. It's usually that you're stressed out, you're tired, you're over it, you've been looking and looking, you're not finding who you want to find, and you just really need somebody in that seat. So you take the best of a bad bunch and you tell yourself a story about how they're actually better than they are, and how they're going to do well, but they won't. And unfortunately, they don't actually hit your qualifying standard. But you try to squeeze that square peg in the round hole, basically out of frustration and exhaustion. And everybody's done it. And look, every single time we've done it, we've paid the price and relearned the lesson we already know. So I think this is crucial and definitely number one.
Yeah, and to be honest, when you first start hiring, you may not really even know what the qualifying standard is. But if you find yourself saying, "Oh, well, they're the best out there," that's a good sign that you probably need to just pause a minute and actually think about, well, they may be the best out there, but are they actually good enough? And here's the thing, a lot of people apply for jobs are serial job appliers, and they're the people who can only last 4 to 6 months in a job. They become experts at applying for jobs because they do it so often.
Yeah.
And often that's the pool that you're choosing from if you're not careful. So you want to steer clear of those.
Yeah. Kind of leads on to mistake number 2 there, doesn't it?
Well, it does.
Yeah.
And that is believing what the person applying actually tells you. Or, as you alluded to, another way of saying this is you actually see what you want to see.
Yeah.
Which is a huge mistake.
Yeah.
And so people will tell you, they'll feed you a line. No, our job, and this is critical, our job when we are hiring is to test their answers, to dig into their background, look at their previous jobs, and build a good picture of the person for ourselves.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, I just want to kick in here that this is for your benefit. This is for their benefit too, because I think a lot of people will say, hey, I can do this or I can do that. I mean, look, honestly, Tony, when I first started working with you, I said I was proficient in Excel. It's a lie, all right? It's a bold-faced lie. I'm absolutely not proficient in Excel. Anyone that knows me knows I'm actually pretty useless on a computer.
You've actually managed to turn your computer on these days.
No, I don't. Joe turns it on for me.
Yeah, it's concerning considering I am considerably older than you and I can.
Oh yeah, I'm a technical moron. But I think the point is people will say stuff because they really want the job. And look, I honestly can't really blame them if they really want the job because it's that awesome to work for you and they can see that. They might bend the truth a little bit, but the hard part is if you don't test these skills and you don't prove it, then you might hire somebody who's not what they said they are, and that's not good for you, but it's not good for them either, because you've just set them up to fail. And they're going to get into that role, and there'll be disappointment and unmet expectations on both sides, and actually that's not a good situation for anyone. So testing these skills is actually not as much about catching them out, like having lied. It's about making sure that both of you will enjoy this relationship. It's pretty crucial, right? So,
and here's a classic example. Let's say you're hiring someone to be an operations manager in your business. So this person is going to run your tradespeople. They're going to make sure all the materials are there, organise the schedule for work, make sure everything out in the field is tickety-boo. They'll be responsible for bringing the jobs in at your gross margins that you're looking to hit, and they'll be the manager of those people in the field, do the reviews and all that sort of stuff. And so if that's the person you're looking for, the classic mistake is to say, so Phil, look, we're looking for someone who can lead our team and provide direction and guidance for the tradespeople. Is that something you can do?
Yeah, of course. I've done it heaps.
Yeah, and that's exactly what will happen.
Yeah, of
so
course.
You've asked them a very leading question with what you're looking to find, and you think they're going to say no?
I mean, if all they have to say is, yes, I can do that, you might have asked the wrong question.
That's exactly right. So it's better to ask open-ended questions like, hey, tell us about your experience supervising other tradespeople. And then you can have some follow-up questions. Well, how many did you supervise? How often? What projects have you been involved with? How do you deal with, the situation where you've got too many projects and not enough people?
Yeah.
How do you deal with a situation where you've got two tradespeople on site that don't get on?
And if you find something like that, this is a great example. How do you deal with the situation where two tradespeople aren't getting on? Best thing with that is that it's not just something they can describe; it's something they can prove right here and now. So I could then say, "Hey Tony, tell me about how you'd handle a situation where two tradespeople aren't getting on site." You tell me about it. I'm like, "Hey, cool. Like, I'd really love to see a real life example. Can we role play this?" Let's say I am a tradesman that works under you and I've been having trouble with another person. How would you address this with me? Let's role play it, have the conversation with me about my behavior. And they'll be like, what now? Role play? And you're like, yeah, 100% now. Let's do it. Really excited to see your style. And test it right then and there. I mean, if they've really done this before and they've done it regularly, they'll be like, okay, it might be a little awkward, but like honestly, they should know how to do it. Whereas if they're completely stumped and stuck, you know that they're just telling you stories. Right.
Exactly. So it's your job. You're like an interrogator.
Yeah.
Or a detective, if you like. And you've got to put the puzzle together from all the pieces that you can collect, not just what they tell you, because they'll tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah, exactly. Good one for you would have been, hey, Phil, you say you're proficient in Excel. Can you import this CSV file, merge these results? Well, I would have been like,
yeah, lucky you don't have to do
I would have
Excel,
been stuck. I would have been stuck big time. So, point is, that actually would have been something that's quite easy to test. Probably wasn't the most important thing on the ad, so
that's right.
Hence why we didn't test it. But I would have been caught out there. So let's get on to mistake number 3.
So mistake number 3 is not checking past job performance or references and not doing it thoroughly.
Oh yeah.
So this is important. So if you want to know how someone has performed or will behave, then the way they have behaved in the same or similar settings is a pretty good indicator for you.
Definitely.
And so you often won't find all of that in the actual face-to-face interview. You actually need to go and do some research. And that involves looking at past job performance and looking at references.
Yeah.
And I think references are, they're pretty important in this process. So,
and we did an episode on reference checking.
Yeah, we've done an episode on reference checking, which you should check out because it's important. But a really quick summary is not all references are created equal.
No, that's for sure.
So, if you have a reference from someone who is their mate, who they worked on jobs with, that doesn't mean as much as a reference for their direct supervisor who they worked with for 4 years.
Yeah, and a character reference from your mum is nice, it's cute, but probably not as relevant, right?
That's exactly right. And then you want to test in the reference. The mistake is not doing the reference. And then number 2 mistake here is doing it poorly. So it's just saying, how did you find them?
Oh, they were good.
Yeah, pretty good. So you need to be more specific. You need to ask questions about what type of work were they doing, because that work may be different to the type of work you're getting them to do. Yeah. So, for example, with the operations manager or 4-person or whatever you call them, project manager, you may ask the person in the reference, or how did they go in their work? And they're great, yada, yada, yada. that may have been as a tradesperson.
Yeah.
Well, does that have much weight for how they'll operate as an operations person? Well,
Yeah.
possibly,
is it relevant to the
but it's not
position
really
that
that
you're
relevant
hiring?
because
Yeah.
it's not relevant to the position that you're hiring. And so you want to do several things. Interview the reference person giving the reference to make sure it's credible. Interview the type of work they've done. And then number 3, ask the question, the key question, which is, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is never and 10 is, tomorrow, how likely are you to re-employ this person?
That's right.
Don't ask, would you re-employ them? Ask on a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah.
Because if they're a 9 or a 10, they're good. If they're an 8 or 7, they're kind of neutral. Don't go there, and any less than 6, they're like a psychopath.
That's like, do not hire that person. A lot of psychology around that, and definitely important to check out the reference checking episode for all the details. But for now, before you listen to that episode, just take our word for it. 6 or less is a definite no. A 7 is probably still a no. An 8, I'd be like, hey, that's interesting. That means there's a 20% chance you wouldn't rehire them. Anything to that. 9 or a 10, slam dunk. Definitely hire this person.
Be careful hiring 8s.
Very careful. Like, that's what I mean, is I would dig into that more, but I would be looking through some pretty strong lenses.
Yeah.
And I think the big thing here is just like, again, don't tell yourself stories. I've definitely had reference checks where, someone gives a 7, I say, hey, okay, that's pretty interesting. Means there's a 30% chance you wouldn't rehire the person. And they go, oh, well, look, I don't give 10s. And then I start telling myself this story about how it's like, oh, well, maybe the person doesn't give 10s, and maybe they're just a hard marker, and maybe they don't understand the scale and all that. And you start making all these excuses for the person. But in reality, someone that's not willing to give a high score is trying to be kind. They're trying to say, look, I'm not going to basically talk smack about this person. I know that they know that I'm the reference. So I'm going to give them what I say is a good enough score, but without fully putting my stamp on it. That's really what they're doing. And so don't tell yourself the stories, just stick to the scoring.
And that's a really good point there. The psychology here is deep. If you ask someone, an employer, past employer, would you rehire them? They know they're doing a reference, so people don't like to be mean.
Yeah.
Unless the person's an absolute clown.
Exactly.
In which case most people are fine, but they might say 8 or 7 or 8. That gives them an option of giving you I
didn't say something bad.
Yeah, and I didn't say, no, I wouldn't rehire them. So you give them a scale, which means it kind of gives them the opportunity to give you the real feedback.
Yeah, that's
which
right.
is very powerful.
And it's what they're trying to tell you without having to tell you or be held to the fact that they said bad stuff.
It gives them the back door to give you the real answer without it being awkward or weird.
That's right. So just stick to the scale, guys. I think that's the important lesson here is use it. And if you have a test or a qualifier and the person fails on that test or qualifier, then just stick to that. They failed. Don't try to squeeze that square peg in a round hole.
That's right.
So what about mistake number 4?
So mistake number 4 is not knowing your numbers around hiring. This is huge. So people are often stingy when they put ads out there or put compensation packages together because they think they can't pay that. They think nobody's worth that. They think the market isn't that. Incidentally, often the market for the tradesperson or the operations manager, the estimator, whoever it is you're hiring, has moved on from where you thought it was. It's the pay for it is actually more now than you thought it was, particularly over the last 2 or 3 years with inflation and all that sort of stuff going on.
Yeah.
The rates for pay have gone up. So this is important. But not knowing how much a tradesperson, for example, is worth to your business.
Yeah.
This is critical. Now, the numbers are pretty simple. You work out how much revenue they can generate, and a good guess is between 250 and 300,000 in revenue per year.
Yep.
Okay. Some are going to be more.
Yep.
Some might be a bit less, but that's a good starting point. If you want to use that, you use that if you're listening.
Yeah, for most trades, it'll sit around there.
Similar there. So and then if your gross profit margin is 40%, that means this person is going to make you between $100,000 and $120,000 in gross profit per year, which is profit you are not going to make if you do not have this person in your business. They increase the size of the factory that you have. More revenue and profit, you need a bigger factory.
That's right. Or you need earning capacity.
More earning capacity. You can get more by being more efficient with the people you've got, but that does run out to a point.
Yeah, that's right.
So if you're going to make an extra $100,000 to $120,000 in revenue, what's another $5,000 to actually secure this person?
Yeah.
It's a great investment.
That's right.
But people are thinking about, I can't pay, $39 an hour. There's no way I can afford that. That's because they don't know the numbers. So that's critical. Understand how much they're worth to you. Then you can make good decisions about what you can pay, what the benefits are to actually get them in the door.
Totally. It's huge. Know your numbers. So number 5.
not having a process around hiring. So this is the old wing it strategy.
Yeah, that one doesn't usually work out too well.
No, and it's kind of like this. You put some ad up, and the way you put your ad up is you go into all the online directories and copy what everyone else has done.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. And then someone applies and you're like, wow, that's amazing. And so you organise an interview, and the interview's in 45 minutes, and you're online Googling interview questions. What should I ask when I'm hiring someone?
Yeah.
That is probably not going to end well.
No.
So we need a really clear process. I mean, it's even like sitting on a beer crate at the back of the workshop to interview them.
Guys, I just want to be really clear. If you haven't picked it up yet, the little tone of sarcasm, these are all the things not to do, all right? Like, if anyone's sitting there going...
And all things we've seen.
Yeah, all things we've seen, all right? So I think, like... And, hey, not just things we've seen, but things we've seen relatively often. I think this stuff is really actually very common. It's very normal. And so actually, like, having a proper process and sticking to a more professional system... it's not only going to work better, it's going to actually put you head and shoulders above everybody else competing for these great workers. So you're really going to stand out. You'll get good people, but you'll look great as well, and they'll want to work for you.
Well, that's the key thing. It's understanding that, and this is where a lot of people fall down. It's not just about figuring out if this person is a good fit for your business. That you have to also do a sales job on them.
Yeah.
So you have to provide, like, good people are going to have options and they want to work in the best place. So we have to ensure that the offer that you're putting out, the package, the image, the vibe is top draw.
Yeah.
Because that will attract and hire the good people.
That's right.
And they deserve to work in the best place. So we need to put our best foot forward. So a process, we have an 11-step hiring process. And this is, the backbone of doing this in a thorough and professional way. And so the process is, you've got to write a good job ad. You've got to have a job description.
Yep.
You've got to have a really strong, benefit-driven job ad, which really puts the offer out there in lights. You get people to apply online, which is a good way, and you can ask a couple of qualifying questions in there just to make sure that they can follow instructions.
It's always handy.
It is. And then you do the telephone interview, right?
Yeah, 100%. And that phone interview is super important. It's yes, it's only a short phone call. We ask a few key questions and basically just figure out whether or not we should take this any further for our benefit and for theirs. Because it takes time to go through interview processes. It can be costly, and it can be a real investment in time, energy, and money. So we just want to make sure it's actually going to be worthwhile moving this further down the field. So a few key questions in that phone interview, and we can keep the ball rolling.
Then we have the face-to-face interview.
Yep.
And we have a set script for that with questions that our members ask, and also give them examples of the answers they're looking for, because you want to know what you're looking for when you ask a question.
Yeah,
that's
right.
important. So face-to-face interview, there's the reference checking.
Yep.
There's some psychometric tests, which are really helpful to just figure out a little bit about their personality, see if they're a good fit. If you can, you do on-site or out in the field interviews. So
Job testing.
Now, this is not always possible, but if it is, it's well worth the investment, because you get them with the team for a few hours, half a day, get them to do some stuff. A lot of this work it's hands-on, it's kinesthetic, tactical stuff. And so they might talk a good game, but really what counts is, can they play a good game? And you see that by actually watching them work.
Yeah.
And you see them with the team for a little while, and you'll get some amazing insights from your team. They'll give you some feedback, and they'll really quickly tell you if this person is a lemon.
Yeah, and for those roles which are not so hands-on, they're more office-based, again, so you can do the same thing at their site, if you will, which is in the office. Just bring them into the office, get them to do a couple of things, which would be in their normal job description.
Yeah, it's actually easier for people who are in the office than doing this for people out in the field. If you're hiring an estimator, give them a job to price.
Yeah, that's right. And again, like we said, if you're hiring an ops manager, maybe role play some conversations they'd have with staff. Lots of things you can do, but you want to just see them in action, doing the stuff they would be doing daily, because when you can see it for real, you know that it's not just talk.
That's right. And then the final thing is actually having the offer ready. This is a big mistake that people make, is they see someone who's good, and then they're like, oh, well, they muck around about making the decision, and then they spend 4 days getting an offer ready, a contract, and in that time a good person's gone somewhere else. And we've seen it happen a lot. Oh, they ring the person up, hey, I'd like to offer you the job. Oh, sorry, man, look, I've got another job.
In the meantime, they took something else.
And that's because you were not Johnny on the spot. You mucked around. So you've got to have all that stuff ready to go. makes a huge difference.
Massive.
So that's having a clear process makes all the difference.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think that's definitely the top 5 mistakes. So should we land this plane?
Let's do it. Getting good people is crucial to your business success, and avoiding the 5 big hiring mistakes will see your business grow off the back of hiring exceptional tradespeople and people for your office roles. So take the time, learn how to get good at it. It'll pay back massively.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. We'll catch you all again next time.
See you later.